Hey, sorry for the lack of videos recently. Part of it is I've just been busy with school, picking up a lot. And I got sucked into the Letters of Saint Germain, which is an awesome armchair treasure hunt. If you didn't experience it, honestly, it's still worth paying and buying it now, just for the experience to try and solve some of the puzzles. I will say some of them are absolutely killer. 6 and 9 probably destroyed me. Um, 8 was also very tough. In the end, I was close. I had quite a few of them solved. But I want to tell you about one of them, which is Clue 4, and it was probably the best head fake I've ever seen in one of these. I don't know if it was intentional. If it was, the amount of respect I have for Lisa who wrote it just is exponentially increased. If it wasn't, it just kind of shows how I guess our world sometimes fits together in really strange coincidences. So let's take a look at it. I want to walk you through what I thought. And I usually don't buy into these like fake solutions, but this one honestly floored me when I finally figured out I was wrong. So let's take a look at it. We've got H. Holmes, the devil in the White City. So as a teacher, when we talk about people from history, I don't usually call them evil. Um, there's very few people I apply that word to intentionally just because there's always context. But this guy, whew, he is pure evil, I would say. If you haven't read about him, it's a chilling ride. He's very just dark and deceptive and everything, but it's a fascinating story if you like, especially if you like that true crime drama sort of genre. So I guess my journey down the complete wrong direction started with that number there, and I'm intentionally not showing her entire puzzle. The I think it's still worth checking out, even if the treasure's been found. It's really fun. It's really fun to track some of these down. But 5796. So I made that into May 7th, 1896. That sounded reasonable, and it lined up exactly with a lot of the dates that we've been running into throughout this hunt. That was the day that H. Holmes was hanged. So he went to his death incredibly calm, collected, just let himself get hanged. There's actually some speculation out there. I'm sure it's fake, but that he paid off the people who were going to hang him and that he escaped and went on to do more killings. Again, I doubt it, but it fits with kind of the whole theme, the occult, the supernatural, the escape from death. And so I was like, all right, this is worth looking into. And when you look him up, his murder hotel was right near Lincoln Park, Chicago. So you've got Lincoln right there staring at you, and you've got Lincoln Park. And I'm like, all right, we're really onto something because right above that is poison and death. And he was known to use poisons in his killings. Again, this guy's really dark, really twisted. But he killed in a lot of ways, but that was one of them. Definitely poisoning. All right, so I'm on to something. I've got Holmes nailed down. And I probably put too much stock into the pictures here, I learned later. But I still thought, all right, H. Holmes absolutely has to be a part of this, right? There's no way. So I looked up Thomas. I rented it from Thomas is the first line of this clue. Well, one of the properties that he rented in Indianapolis was from Dr. Thomas L. Thompson, right around the time that he would have been there. And I was like, all right, let's roll. Here we go. Broncos are galore. All right, so you've got that's in Indianapolis. Colts, they're not quite Broncos, but it's really close. They're young male horses and wild horses. All right, we'll make that work. That fits. So Indianapolis, periodic, far from a seashore. Well, IN is Indiana and indium is an element, so that's periodic on the periodic table. And if you've ever been to Indiana, trust me, I live in Iowa. Um, Indiana is far from a seashore. We are about as far away as you can get from a true sea. Okay, so what did he do at this house? Well, he rented it, and eventually, he murdered someone, like H. Holmes apparently tended to do. 29 by 19. Well, that sounds like dimensions, but what if it means 29 as a police code is death? 19 is the police code is drunk, so death by drinking, that sounds a lot like poison. And at the time, these lawmen were closing in on him. This was kind of his last hurrah. I guess that's kind of a sad thing to say about murder, but they were close to catching him. He was kind of on the run, and they were definitely closing in. Okay, so sleeping giants. What does that mean? Well, Irvington. So we are in Irvington, Indiana, and that is named after Washington Irving, the author. Okay, we can make that work for sure, right? Washington Irving, most famous probably for Rip Van Winkle and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And Rip Van Winkle slept for, I don't know, 20 years. Was he a giant? Well, maybe not, but in the scheme of literature, that's a giant. It's very well known. So I thought it worked. And it's just a little graveyard. Rest in peace outside. Well, he killed one person out of one family here. And I think he went with the rest onwards. Like I said, this guy was dark, twisted, evil. But and he buried him outside. So it's just a little graveyard, rest in peace outside. Well, that's where they found one of his victims, literally buried outside. Um, I can't overstate. I was certain that this was correct, at least in some capacity. Now, there were some other elements of the verse that didn't really work. You had a lake and a mountain. I was like, well, that doesn't really sound like Indianapolis, but um, it was probably the best red herring, head fake, whatever you want to call it, in one of these that I've run across. When I found the real answer, I was absolutely floored. I actually ran across it searching for a different one, puzzle six, I believe, or verse six, if you tried this, you know what I'm talking about. But I started reading about the other place, and I was like, well, wait a second, this has to fit. But when it wasn't Holmes, I was stunned. So if you didn't check out the Letters of Saint Germain, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It was a great distraction in a time in my life when I probably needed a distraction. And if you did, I hope you enjoyed this kind of alternate history sort of solve for something that really had me for at least a couple days convinced that it had to be right, that there was no way it could possibly be wrong. Thanks for watching, and I'll have some more stuff coming up for you soon because I'm kind of taking a break from the solving side and the intense energy spent on that. So I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks.